survey and just say they will find it in their activity sheet today, the employability passport sheet today.
Sure.
We make it as simple as possible for them. All they need so they don't have to look for it.
We've gone live, guys. We have gone live.
Okay.
No students yet then?
No, 12.
12. Okay, good. Yeah.
So
we've got a couple of classes, so I think there's four health and social classes now.
So at this point, they can hear and see us.
They can hear and they can see you. I'm about to disappear. Guys, if you're waiting for this, we will start in a couple of minutes. Jane has just gone to attempt to find some slightly better Wi-Fi, but I'm going to leave. Tracy, I suppose you start when Jane comes back.
Yeah, I just wanted to check with Jane at what point she wanted to play her video montage.
I think she said.
Hi. Probably when we're about, like, I don't know, 10 minutes in, kind of. Yeah, when we've got quite a few people on.
Okay.
I am leaving, and I will let you start when you go.
Oh, Jane, there you are.
Hi.
You ready to go?
I am ready to go, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start then. Right. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our live Zoom assembly this morning. We're very lucky to have Jane, a midwife. I'll ask her to introduce herself to you and give you some information and talk about her career so far and give you some top tips and information. But before I do that, I just wanted to introduce Derek to you. Derek is very kindly the person that has organised this and organised our volunteers. So especially during this really challenging time for the NHS, our volunteers have found time to talk to us. So we're very pleased and a big thank you to that. So on that, Derek, did you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Tracy. So hi there. So I work for Inspiring the Future, and one of our focuses at the charity actually is working with schools and colleges to really promote awareness of jobs within healthcare. So I'm sure you're aware that there are over 350 plus job roles in the NHS, so you're certainly not short of options. So a nice range for you to consider. And there's something really valuable in hearing from professionals firsthand about their journey. So hopefully you find this session insightful. So please do make the most of it and send in your questions. Another point is a link to our survey has been put in your worksheet, your passport. So it would be great if you could take a moment to complete those to help inform our NHS campaign. And as upcoming NHS professionals, maybe it's something that we can get you all on in the future. So inspiring students like Jane and talking to students. But yes, that would be much appreciated if you could do that at the end. But thanks for joining us for this session and hopefully you enjoy it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Derek. Great. Okay. So Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. I think great. We'd like to hear about, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and just really giving us some information about your career journey so far. I'm right in thinking it probably wasn't as straightforward. Most of the time things aren't, but yeah, if you just wouldn't mind just telling us about your journey so far.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Jane. I'm originally from Birmingham, and about 14 or 15 years ago, I moved as far south as you can possibly get without falling into the water. And I now live on the south coast of England in a town called Poole, which is near Bournemouth. Some of you maybe have been there on holiday. So I moved here for my family, really. And at the time, I was a teacher. I was a secondary school teacher, teaching 11 to 18-year-olds. And I was actually teaching geography and history, which has absolutely nothing to do with the NHS, of course. So working for the NHS is a second career for me. And you probably think, oh, this isn't very relatable. You know, you could have got someone like young and cool to talk to us. But my role has lots of different parts to it. So I'm a midwife, and it's the job that I'm very, very, very passionate about. I love my job. Some of you probably have a little bit of an idea about what a midwife does, and I want to talk to you about that and hopefully broaden your perceptions of what midwives do. So that's part of my role, is being a midwife. A big part of my role as well, which I've taken on extra, is as a midwifery ambassador. So this is something that the chief midwife for all of the UK has been asked to encourage people to come into the career, because this is a career on its own. This is an amazing career to come into, and it's something that lots of people do as a second career like me, but we want to encourage people to come and do it straight through from school, college, university, and straight into the career, because we need young, fresh, inspiring, amazing people to come into the career. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about that as well. A third part, which is probably the bit of my job that I really love, is working with student midwives. So I work with a lot of people who are coming into midwifery, are getting their first glimpse of what it's like to be a midwife, and training them to do the job that I adore. So I've been a midwife qualified for 4.5 years, so I am quite an old new midwife, but did 3 years training before that, had to go back to university. My mum couldn't believe that I was going back to university at the age of 30-ish, with 2 children, having to juggle studying and home life, which has different challenges to my student friends who are coming fresh from school, who face completely different challenges about studying at university. And that's something else that I want to talk to you about, is the challenge of studying a clinical degree, studying to do something where a lot of the training is done on the job as well, actually doing the job, and particularly doing things like shift work. So that's one of the other things that I want to talk to you about.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so that's really helpful. And I know that we have a lot of our health and social care students that consider going straight into midwifery. So it would be great for you to dispel the myths and the perception that people have of what the job entails. And I suppose on that point, I really wanted to ask you, because some of our students also look at nursing. So is midwifery similar to nursing?
We both work in hospitals, midwives and nurses, but I'm not a nurse. We've got some midwives who were nurses and have changed to be midwives, but actually nursing and midwifery are quite different. So midwives are professionals who work as part of a wider team, looking after women and their families during pregnancy, birth, and after they've had their baby. A lot of people think that being a midwife is about cuddling babies, and I don't get to cuddle babies. I get to deliver babies, definitely, but actually I work with lots and lots of midwives who haven't delivered babies for 5 years, 10 years, but are really, really important midwives. So we work with women who are women and their families, actually, because midwife is nothing to do with being a wife. It's nothing to do with being a mother, from my respect. It's midwife means with woman. So we are there to support women during this period of time in their life. So actually, a lot of the women that I look after are not ill. They're not sick in any way. They're going through a normal life event, having a baby, which many people and many families will experience. Nurses, on the other hand, work with sick people, don't they? I mean, primarily, that's what they do. They are nursing people who are unwell to get them back to being healthy again. Occasionally, my job involves some nursing skills, but actually, most of the people that I work with are not unwell. They're not sick people. They're people going through a normal life event that for me has become very everyday, but for them is maybe once, twice, 3 times in a lifetime that they might go through something like this. So it's about our support of that. And it's the most amazing job. I know a lot of nurses who love their jobs who say, God, I could never do your job. And I know that I could never do their job. I'm not very good with ill people. That's my family, especially my husband. I've got no patience for sickness in the family. And a lot of the things with the kids, it's just like, oh, we'll just kiss it better and give it a little rub and it'll be all right. But we can't do that with pregnant women. This is about the support that we give them to make sure that women and their babies stay healthy and that they don't end up needing any kind of nursing care as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I suppose you made the one differential. I suppose we tend to think, but actually you're working with well people and nurses aren't. I suppose that's the fundamental issue. I know that we've actually got lots of students watching us at the moment. I don't know if you wanted to, you had a little bit of a video montage that might...
I'm just going to see whether, if I can get that queued up, then we can see if we can get it to share, because that hopefully that would be quite nice.
And then you might like to lead on to some of the things that you talked about in your introduction.
Yeah, of course I will, no problem.
Yeah.
I've got that video ready if you are ready.
Yeah, I think let's go for it.
Let's see if we can get it to play.
Hello, my name's Jane and I'm a midwife.
Hi, my name's Natalie. I've been a midwife for just over a year and I work here on the delivery suite.
Hi, my name's Gemma. I'm a maternity support worker at Poole Hospital and I've worked at Bournemouth Hospital as well in maternity. I've been doing this job now for nearly 4 years. I absolutely love my job and I'm hoping that next year I'll take the next step to become a midwife.
Hi, my name's Natalie. I'm one of the labour ward sisters. I've been qualified for 20 years. When I left school I thought I wanted to be a nurse. Then I found out about midwifery and decided to do that, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
My favourite things about being a midwife is once the baby's been born, everywhere's nice and calm, everything's tidy, all the little jobs have been done, and you come back with a tray of tea and toast and you see this brand new little family all snuggled up together, really meeting their baby for the first time, and it's just one of those moments that make me smile.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm a second year student and the best part of my training so far is assisting with home births and water births, and they're just great.
Hi, my name's Rosie. I've been a midwife here for 2 years. I work over on the low risk unit and delivery suite, and there is nothing better than supporting women to bring new life into the world.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm one of the deputy team leaders on the postnatal ward. I've been qualified for 8 years. I came straight from school into university. It's given me a great opportunity to develop my career. Being in 29, I've got a long way to go.
Hi, my name's Emily. I've been a midwife for just over a year now. And I think the thing that I love the most about the job is you get to be a part of a really special time for people, but it's also a time that's new and it can be scary and overwhelming. So I get to be there to support people through that time and be a part of a moment that's going to change their life forever, having a baby. So I think that's pretty incredible and not many other jobs have that opportunity. So that's something that I love about being a midwife.
Hi, my name's Kate. I'm a GP trainee. I worked in the obstetric and gynaecology ward for 6 months. I had a great time in the antenatal, the postnatal, as well as the labour ward. The midwives taught me all I know about midwifery care, and it's a great place to get some experience.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a third year student and I've been lucky enough to deliver 31 babies with the help of my mentors.
Hi, my name's Pam. I'm a midwife working on a low risk birthing unit where I mostly give labour care. I do all sorts of other weird and wonderful things, but there's no time for that in this clip. When people hear what my job is, they go, oh, those cute babies, oh, you must love babies. But actually, I love women. So don't get it wrong, because what I love is that I get to support and empower women and facilitate their own inner strength. I'm satisfied with my work when a woman feels satisfied with herself. I'm part of things that I have an affinity to, so it's a meeting of science, of physiology, of spirituality, and a whole process of women growing and birthing their babies. I do lots of clinical stuff, I do lots of cleaning up of mess and some baby stuff. Sometimes intense medical and invasive treatments are involved, and occasionally there's tears. I can assure you it's not always pretty, but it is always beautiful. If you feel you're drawn to midwifery, then don't be put off by what you don't know. What you can't do is learn to care, because that's got to be already in you. The rest, you become a student in order to learn. So I hope that one day we might meet one day in a coffee room, if we get time for a coffee.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. That was really, really great to hear all those different views. And lots of different people doing so many different things.
I just, every time I watch it, it makes me smile. It makes me proud. It makes me want to cry. Pam, who was the last person to speak, she put that in after doing a night shift, and oh gosh, it brought me to tears when I watched it, because we forget how much we all do love our jobs, and I think, especially as things are at the moment, you know, everywhere's going through quite a crisis. Women are coming in COVID positive. Babies are COVID positive. The amount of PPE that we have to wear. The fact that we are now experiencing the massive baby boom as of lockdown March last year. Those babies are all now being born. When nobody could go to the pub, they all started having babies instead. We are under immense pressure, and to see when I ask people to do this, and everyone's reluctant to send videos in, but when I received those videos, oh, I could have cried, because it just reminds me of what an amazing job we have. And the one thing that I noticed actually is there's no men on this video.
Yeah, why is that?
Why is that? Well, you know, you think the word midwife, you've never heard of a mid-husband, have you? But as we know, midwife is nothing to do with being a wife. It means with women. And actually, we have several male midwives. It's not an all-female profession. You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to have had children. If you're a woman, it doesn't make you a better midwife. There's nothing to do with your gender that makes you better or worse at this job. And actually, our male midwives are really, really well respected and really well liked by the people that they look after. The one male midwife that I work with a lot probably gets cards and gifts on the ward every week, thanking him for the work that he's done, thanking him for the care that he gave, thanking him for his support, because he's just great. So it's not a gender thing. So I don't want boys to be put off coming into this career. It's quite female dominated, but I work with a lot of male and female doctors. And it's funny, you think obviously a lot of things that we do are quite intimate procedures. We always ask for consent, and the male midwives have to do that too. Now, quite often it's not the women that have a problem, but sometimes their partners say they don't want to have a male midwife looking after them. And we have to say, well, you know, this is the midwife that's available to look after you and your partner. Yeah, but I don't want a man in here. Okay, well, if we have an emergency, the anaesthetist, the obstetrician, that's the main doctor, and our junior doctor that are on today are all men. Is it okay if they come in? Oh yeah, that's fine, because they're doctors. Well, you know, where's the issue here? Midwives are experts in normal birth. The doctors look to us for what's normal. We call the doctors when it's not normal. So we have a really good relationship with our doctors, whereby they know when to stand back and let us do our work, and where we're best placed to do our work.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's great. I mean, I'm just actually starting, I've got some questions here, but I've got a question in from a student who's just messaged us on Teams. So students, please feel free to send your questions through.
Yeah.
Some of our students are still retaking or struggling with their maths, GCSE maths, and they're concerned that that might be a barrier to them learning or applying to these types of roles. What would your top tips be?
So my top tips would be, yeah, keep resitting until you get that golden number in your maths. If you are really struggling, make sure that you do your functional skills tests. And actually, by going, there's lots of different routes into nursing and midwifery, and it doesn't have to be direct entry into university to do a BSc honours degree in nursing or in midwifery, i.e. a 3-year course. Lots of our midwives, and actually lots of our brilliant midwives, have come through doing access courses first. Some of them feel that they're very intense, but if you're coming straight from college, then actually an access course could be a really good route to get yourself in, and that gives you other opportunities to be able to get the maths qualification that you need. I would say that in order to apply to do nursing or midwifery, they need you to show that you have some math skills. Now, if you are struggling, if you are just touching the limits of trying to get that pass for your maths, it's still worth applying, because actually part of the process of getting into university to do these is that you need to do a maths calculation test. It's not a scary one. You've got plenty of time to do it, but you're not allowed to use a calculator. And actually, there's loads and loads of help online in order to prepare you for those specific type of tests, teaching you how to do things like multiplication and division without a calculator. And they're not very, very complex ones, but you've got to show that you've got the right mode of thinking. So I would say don't think, oh, I won't bother then. It's definitely worth still pursuing. And if it's something that you're passionate about, your passion will show through, and actually the maths bit will catch up. So don't worry too much.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. Is keep going, really.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I just wondered, what kind of advice would you like to give your 16, 17-year-old self, looking back on your career and what you're doing now? What do you think you wish you knew then that you do now?
I wish I'd done it then and not waited another 20 something years before doing it. Yeah, I really wish I'd done it then, because I would say that if this is something that you're passionate about, then this is not about cuddling babies. This is about supporting women and their families. If you are a caring person who can have a conversation and build up a rapport with somebody very quickly. So if you can walk into a room full of strangers and find somebody to talk to and have a conversation, then you'd be able to do this job. If you are so painfully shy that there's no way that you could possibly imagine having a conversation with a stranger, then that's the bit that you'll struggle with. Because like Pam said at the end of that clip, don't worry about the midwifery skills. We teach you all of those. What we can't teach you to do is to care for people. And if it is in you to give that care, and actually the first thing I want to do when a baby appears in my hands, wet, slimy, a bit goopy, I want to give it to somebody else, and that's mum. And that's what I do. So I'm just the person that facilitates baby getting from the inside to the outside and onto mum. So if you are, I think if I was looking back at myself now, I would say get a little bit of work experience. It doesn't have to be in a maternity unit, because you're unlikely to get work experience in a maternity unit. You can do volunteering. When times are better and things are open, you can go to, I don't know if you have like children's centres and things like that, like local hubs where perhaps there might be a breastfeeding group, or an under ones group where there's new mums, where then you might be able to go to antenatal classes. So antenatal means while you're still pregnant, postnatal is afterwards, okay? A bit like AM and PM, So antenatal is before the baby arrives. So antenatal classes, you can go along, you can sit in on those. It's just about contacting the right people and getting in, because when you apply as a, what are you, 17, 18-year-old, when you first do your UCAS application, your statement can't say anything about, I love babies. I really liked it when my auntie had a baby. I'd really like to be a nursery nurse or a midwife. They're totally different. Nursery nurses work with children. I don't work with children. I work with women and families. So you've got to find something where you're saying that you are good at working with diverse cultures, with people of all ages, where you understand about the situations that people might be in. So I think I'd probably want to get some work experience. I think I'd probably want to knuckle down and make sure that I get the best grades I possibly can. And I'd want to talk to some midwives, because if that's the career that I want to go into, you know, go and find someone who's a friend of the family who's a midwife, or get on a Facebook group for aspiring midwives. Facebook, I know, is very dated. That's much more my era, but there's loads and loads of amazing midwifery influencers who are young, aspiring midwives on Instagram. I'm not so great on that, but there are lots on there.
Yeah, fantastic advice. And I think I've just had another question through from another student who's obviously now the students that are listening to us are year 1, so equivalent to year 12, and they will be making their UCAS application next year, starting this summer. So starting to look, so work experience, I think, is an absolute key. Also just to find out if they like it. You know, it might not be, as you're saying, your perception is very different from the reality. So what are the kind of routes that are open to students that are looking to do midwifery? So leaving like straight from college, would it be applying through university, or are there other options?
Yeah, so the main routes would be applying straight to university. So there's a number of universities all around the country that offer midwifery as a degree. There's not one that's better than another. They all follow a very, very similar syllabus. So unlike, say, if you wanted to go and do history as a degree, you would find that history at Edinburgh would be very different to history at Exeter, and would be very, very different from history at University of Central London. They follow very different syllabuses, and you'd probably want to look and see which bit of history you're interested in. Midwifery isn't like that. We all follow a very, very kind of strict syllabus, because to be a midwife is a skill in itself. It's about 50% in university, 50% on the job. And everybody says the stuff in university is just kind of paperwork and whatever. The stuff on the job is where you learn to be the midwife. So applying to university is one way. It's a very, very competitive degree. I think when I applied, for every 50 places, sorry, for every 50 applicants, there was one place. So it's very, very, very like in demand. But it's the difference between people saying, I'd like to become a midwife because I really like babies. I've worked in the nursery, and I've decided that's what I want to do, to seeing somebody applying who's saying, I really want to be a midwife. I think that this part of a woman's life is, you know, so enhancing to them. We know that it comes with difficulties. I want to be able to support women and their families regardless of their social situation. I understand that it has its ups and downs. In order to do this, I've looked at antenatal classes online. I've become part of a Facebook group for aspiring midwives. I've already started researching about different types of midwives. Do you know what I mean? It's that difference between people. So straight away, of the 50 people applying for that one place, probably 30 of them go in the bin. And then it's down to the hardcore 20, you know, who really wants this. If you don't feel ready to go straight into university, or if you're unsuccessful, and we get lots and lots of unsuccessful applicants on their first round, try again. You have to keep going. You've got to be like a dog with a bone with this, because we get lots of people who are like, I applied and I applied and I applied and I got in at my 4th attempt and I did it. But you've got to show, what are you doing in that year that you're waiting? What are you doing towards this? Or if you've just gone and got a job at McDonald's and you're not helping yourself. So there's also, as I've said already, access courses. Lots of the local colleges will offer access courses in health and social care. And I'm sure that you guys probably know a lot more about that than I do. But that is a really, really good stepping stone. If you show that you can get yourself through that with distinctions, then you'll be smashing your way straight into a midwifery place. So that'd be amazing. Yeah. If you don't think it's right for you now, you know, do something else, do something completely unrelated. Come back to it when you're older, when you're in your 30s, when you've perhaps had your own family, or, you know, done a bit of traveling or whatever, and then come back to it with some different life skills. It doesn't matter when you come into it. There's no age limit, and we love it when the kids come straight through from school. They're so fresh, and you're like sponges, you guys. It's amazing.
Oh, that sounds great. That's so inviting. I mean, I'm just, I suppose the key is, it's about the research, isn't it? It's about finding out, it's about checking out, and it's about practicing. And the key, I think, for our students will be applying is about that UCAS statement. And you've just given us a really insightful tip and way to write your statement, and I know that a lot of students would find that really helpful, so thank you. That's brilliant.
There's a lot of help online. You only have to Google midwifery statements and you can pull those out. I've been part of the interview process at university, because you get invited to, you know, so when you're interviewed at university, you'll be interviewed by a midwife and a lecturer. All the lecturers have been midwives as well. But we do that, and we see so many that are just like almost copied and pasted. Don't do that. Use it to look for buzzwords. Use it to look for, you know, what stands out about that statement, but make it about you. Please, please, please do not do a generic statement that, oh, we just get loads of them, where I think there's a couple of websites that give some really good examples, but then everybody uses them and they're boring. So, and they go on the no pile.
Mind you, I think that's safe to say.
For you.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say for any application that you're doing, not just midwifery. Oh, okay. So, I mean, is there anything that you would like to tell our students, or any information that you wanted to add? I know that we're due to wrap up soon, so I didn't know if because we've gone off in different directions and it's been really insightful. Or is there anything that you feel our students would like to know, or think is a good thing for them to know?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of things really. Midwifery is not easy. There's a lot of paperwork. It's tiring. It's emotionally quite tiring, but the most amazing thing to be able to support women. And I come home a different kind of tired to how I did as a teacher. I do shifts. I do night shifts, and I might do 2 or 3 nights in a row and have to sleep in the day between. It's not okay to come home from work in that case and have a glass of wine because it's 7:30 in the morning. That's not okay, apparently, to answer the door to the postman with a glass of Pinot. So obviously you would never do that. But yeah, so night to day shift rotations. So I can come off night shifts. So I might say come off nights last night, sleep today, and then tomorrow be on a day shift. And everything feels like it's upside down. So you have to get used to having a weird body clock. Most teenagers have a weird body clock anyway, awake all night and sleep all day. I've got a teenager, so I can speak from experience. In fact, she's also year 12. So the other thing is, it's not always happy, as you're probably very aware. I support women through loss, and some of that is loss that's planned, and some of it is loss of a baby that they weren't expecting to lose. And it's incredibly, incredibly sad, but and I was scared, even as a grown woman, I was scared to look after women who were perhaps who had perhaps had a stillbirth. And actually, they're kind of my favourite women to look after, because the emotional connection is amazing, and it's such a privilege to look after families who are going through the saddest time in their lives. It's such a privileged experience to be part of that. It's really, really private. And you come away with a different kind of pride and a different kind of emotion in those days. But then, you know, the next day, or even during the same shift, I could be looking after somebody who's having their first child, who they've wanted for 20 years and been trying for a baby, and finally at the age of 43 through IVF has had twins. You know, it can flip and flop, and I've got to be able to have my game face on. I don't even remember the Madagascar thing, you know, but I've got to be able to swap and change and treat everybody as an individual, and I think that that's something that we're really good at as midwives.
Yeah, that's just brilliant. I've just and I suppose it's knowing those highs and lows, they are going to come, and it's, you know, and I suppose you all support each other as a team, I would think, as through that.
Absolutely.
You're not dealing, you're not doing anything in isolation. So I've just one of the students has just come through and asked me about UCAT exams. Do they need to do so? Sorry, to just flip back to UCAS applications. Are they required to take any exams like students applying for medicine would do, like UCAT? Or is it just the UCAS application?
So it's just the UCAS application. If you get shortlisted for a university, you might be invited for interview. And as part of that interview process, you might be asked to do a short maths test. It's more to do with you as a person. And actually some of that is, there's a part of like a group, not a presentation, but like a group task that's set at most universities, just to show that you can interact with other people and work as a team without dominating or without kind of completely sitting in the corner looking like a scared sheep. So there's a lot of that side of things, but there isn't an official entrance exam. Clearly, during the midwifery 3 years, there are exams that need to be passed in order to progress to the next year. But that's the same with any degree.
Yeah, no, great, thank you. So, I mean, I think, you know, I'm going to wrap it up now, because we've had all the students who've been listening to you have stayed the whole session, so it's great. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's really opened things up and sort of busted the myths, if you like. So, thank you, Jane. I know you're so busy at the moment. I mean, you don't get many days off, and when you do, you know, that you just want to have some time to yourself. So we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. And thank you so much for being so honest and frank, because, you know, it's not a bed of roses, and it's great that the students can hear that from you. I just wanted to remind the students that on your employability passport today, you will have the survey link that Derek mentioned at the start of the session we've just done. So yeah, just click on that and just fill it in and answer the rest of the questions. And if
can I please return to do that as well, because part of my role as midwifery ambassador is to find out how effective these talks are. Are they worth us even, you know, doing kind of virtual work experience and career talks, or do you find it a waste of time? And it would be really lovely to get some feedback from that. So personally, I'd really appreciate you doing that too, please.
That's brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and
thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll be in touch with you separately, but really appreciate that. And yeah, Derek's obviously saying thank you as well. Thank you. Cool. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
You. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.